Hi, my name is Rachel Pearsall. I'm the online learning manager with the National Alliance to End Homelessness, and I'm here with my colleague Marquetta Body, who's a senior TA specialist with the Alliance. Marquetta, thank you so much for joining. Can you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Yes, thank you so much for the introduction, Rachel. So again, I'm Marquetta Body, here with the Alliance Senior TA Specialist. Prior to my role with the Alliance, I was the COC lead here in Akron Summit County, where I led initiatives for ending homelessness. I founded the nonprofit who is the lead agency for the COC. So a lot of work around coalition building and formalizing processes and really working in the governance space. So I'm very excited to be here with you today.
Thank you. And we want to make sure everybody has the context for this video. So in any community, local homeless response ideally should be organized into a system where people coordinate with each other and, make sure that processes are as fluid as possible for the people who are experiencing homelessness. And when we say COC, we're talking about a continuum of care, which is an administrative body. These were established by HUD a few years ago. And the continuum of care might oversee like a city or a county or part of a state, something like that. How would you define a COC, Marquetta?
So when you think about the homeless response system, that's really going to be the larger group of individuals who are touching anyone who is experiencing homelessness. So this is going to be that cross-sector group, like your mental health providers, your behavioral health providers, hospitals, anyone who is coming in contact with someone who could possibly be experiencing homelessness. But when you think about the actual COC, that's the body or the entity that's actually moving that work forward, being accountable for what's happening, providing reports to the community about what's going on in homelessness, submitting that annual notice of funding for all the different programs in the communities that are actually receiving funding to end homelessness, or COC funding. And that group is more so focused on the actual logistics of the work, in addition to actually ending homelessness, rather than being the only group that is doing that work, right? So people get the kind of get this confused where they think the COC is the only person or the only group that is doing this when it really needs to be a more collective effort.
And I had an insight while you were saying that. Tell me if this is right. It's like a lot of the organizations that have some contact with people experiencing homelessness have their own goals. Like hospitals are to have good health outcomes, and behavioral health organizations are to have good behavioral health outcomes, and so on and so forth. But the COC is really there to make sure is that all of those efforts also contribute to the goals of making homelessness rare, brief, and a one time. Is that fair to say?
You should explain it. That's it. You should explain that at the beginning. That's
no.
That's exactly right.
I'm repeating stuff I've learned from you all, my colleagues. So,
yes.
So in order for one of these systems, a COC, to function well, it has to be like there has to be somebody in charge, right? Like what do we mean by governance, and what is the role of governance in a COC, in a local homeless system?
So when you think about governance in the continuum of care, it's how the community comes together to provide oversight for policies, funding decisions, and interventions used to prevent and end homelessness. Now, there is no single required structure, but effective governance helps keep the system aligned with the core purpose of the COC program. What that looks like is building shared community-wide commitment to ending homelessness, helping people exit homelessness quickly while minimizing trauma, and improving access to mainstream resources, and also supporting long-term sustainability. I would say at its core, governance is what keeps all those efforts coordinated and moving in the same direction so that systems are working towards a better outcome.
So we're talking about a lot of people, and we're talking about a lot of different organizations with a lot of different, philosophies, maybe, et cetera. How does this group make decisions? How do decisions get made?
So decision making in the COC should be clear, transparent, and inclusive, right? There should be some defined roles for the board and for its committees. There needs to be a shared understanding of how decisions get made, which is really crucial. And then beyond that, good decision making is looking at data like HMIS and system performance measures. And it's also shaped by the people that are closest to the work, including providers and people with lived experience. I think that combination is what ensures that decisions are practical and they actually reflect what is happening in the system, and it's not just what looks good on paper.
And so presumably if a COC is making decisions and they have goals and they have plans, they also want to be able to hold themselves accountable to those goals. How does accountability work?
Accountability in the COC is shared across the system. It means being clear about what success actually looks like, right, to our overall system. So is it reducing homelessness? Is it shortening the amount of time that people remain homeless? Is it increasing exits to housing? And then we're regularly looking at this data to see how we're doing, continuously evaluating so that we can improve. It also means being transparent about performance and having those honest conversations when things aren't working, those very tough conversations. And then when you have all of those pieces together, it really makes for strong governance that creates a space that we can address challenges and continuously improve rather than just monitor compliance.